Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is always an honour and a great privilege to stand in the House of Commons on behalf of my community of Peterborough-Kawartha. I would like to thank my colleague from Yorkton Melville for putting forth Bill C-311, which I will be speaking on this evening. Bill C-311, or an act to amend the Criminal Code, Violence Against Pregnant Women, is a simple and straightforward piece of legislation. If passed, it will create accountability for those who commit violence against pregnant women. Here is the bill summary that comes right out of the legislation itself. This enactment amends the Criminal Code to specify that knowingly assaulting a pregnant woman and that causing physical or emotional harm to a pregnant woman are to be considered aggravating circumstances for sentencing purposes. That is the entire bill summary. The bill is less than 1 page long. Let me quote it. Whereas Parliament wishes to denounce and deter violence against pregnant women by explicitly including pregnancy as an aggravating circumstance for the purpose of sentencing. It does exactly one thing: adds longer prison sentences where there is evidence that the offender is committing the offence, abused a person whom the offender knew to be pregnant, evidence that the offence caused physical or emotional harm to the pregnant victim. Violence against women has been recognized as a global public health problem since 2010. Violence during pregnancy is of special concern due to the adverse effects not only on the mother, but also the developing child. Violence during pregnancy has been associated with negative lifestyle behaviors, compromised prenatal care, poor maternal physical and mental health. When a perpetrator has been identified and found guilty, the sentence must be required to match the crime. And I think this is something all of us in the House of Commons can agree on. What we know and what my colleague has brought to light is that the Criminal Code Sentencing Provision Act is insufficient. It is well established that the risk of violence against women increases when they are pregnant, yet consequences for their attackers does not. According to Statistics Canada, intimate partner violence has steadily increased each year for the past 7 years, and 8 in 10 victims of crime are women. The Canadian Perinatal Surveillance System reported that women abused during pregnancy were 4 times as likely as other abused women to report having experienced very serious violence. And this is a little graphic for people watching at home, including being beaten, choked, threatened with a gun or knife, or sexually assaulted. Furthermore, there are more than 80 cases in recent Canadian history of women who have been killed while pregnant. Each of these women were killed by men who knew they were pregnant. Yet sentencing judges are not mandated to take these actions into account under the current law. Each and every one of us in this House, regardless of party lines, carries the responsibility to do everything we can to make public safety a priority, to ensure everyone, including our most vulnerable, are safe. In existing criminal law, if a pregnant woman is assaulted, and depending on her injuries, the offender could face a maximum penalty of 14 years if they were charged with aggravated assault. But with this new legislation, that person could be liable to a harsher sentence. This is a bill designed to increase public safety. This is a bill designed to show Canadians that we care about public safety. Who can argue with that? When you hear the facts, it seems like a no-brainer bill that would get the support of all members. But sadly, that is not the case. So often it takes a tragedy to change laws. And as you've heard, there have been almost 100 tragedies of pregnant women being murdered, and the law has still not changed. Today, we have a chance to do that. I spoke with Jeff Durham, who I know is watching right now. Jeff was the husband of Cassie and the father of Molly. Cassie and Molly were brutally murdered by someone known to them. Jeff has tried for years to get this law passed, and he expressed his deep frustration with me on the phone in a very private conversation that he allowed me to share with this House, that he cannot believe how politics continues to hijack this bill. Mr. Speaker, this country is failing victims, survivors, and their families. This country is soft on crime, and public safety is eroding rapidly. Canada's worst criminal in history has been moved to a medium security prison. What message are we sending to Canadians? There is no longer an incentive to be a good human because there are no consequences. It is time we stand with survivors, victims, and their families. It is time we show support with action. This bill is concrete action, and it puts in place a sentence that matches the horror of killing or assaulting a pregnant woman. We are Canadians. We should be protecting our most vulnerable, and that includes pregnant women. I ask every member in this House to stand up for victims, survivors, and their families. I ask every member in this House, every mother, to think about Jeff Durham when they cast their vote for this bill, to think about their sisters, their aunts, their daughters, their own mothers, how they would feel if someone attacked them, but worse, if someone attacked them while they were pregnant. The time should match the crime, and attacking or murdering a pregnant woman is among the most heinous of crimes. The mother is the most sacred of people in our society. Let's do something to fix it. Let's send a message that it will not be tolerated. Let's remove the politics from this bill. Let's stand with public safety. Let's implement a law that says we will not tolerate this, and let's vote in favor of Bill C-311. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear. Continuing debate.